Support for this episode was provided by Waterlox. Waterlox lets wood be beautiful. And Touchstone Home Products, maker of the wall-mounted fireplace and the Whisper Lift TV lift mechanism. To learn more about Touchstone Home Products, click on the link in the description. Hey, what's up guys? This is a solid Bubinga desk that I made about 17 years ago. I made it with hand-cut dovetails. The drawer pulls are rosewood, and the drawer fronts are cut from one board, so the grain is continuous all the way through, which I think is a really nice touch. If you're making a piece of furniture, that's something to think about. The original finish is Waterlox, and after 17 years, it's seen its fair share of use and abuse. So I'm going to freshen up the finish by giving the desk a light sanding, and then adding one or two new coats of Waterlox. Let's get started. I'll get started on this project by removing and labeling the drawer pulls. Then I'll wipe down the piece of furniture with a damp cloth. If you think you might have something greasy or oily on the piece of furniture, it's a good idea to wipe it down with paint thinner. But I'm not too worried about this, so a damp cloth will do. Next, I'll sand the piece with 320 sandpaper, sanding in the direction of the grain, and then use a vacuum to remove the dust. Too long, and the desk looks and feels as good as new, and this is one of the last things I needed to do to complete the room renovation project. I started renovating this room a little more than a year ago, and I think it'd be fun now to take a look at some before and after pictures and point out some of the things I've made. I got started on the renovation by first painting the ceiling. Originally the ceiling is wood, and it had what's referred to as a pickled finish. It's kind of a whitewashed finish. And I had to prime it twice, and then I painted it with 2 coats of Benjamin Moore White Dove with a semi-gloss finish. I replaced all of the window and door casing in the room, and I used a back band around the window and door casing, and that creates more depth to the trim and allows the chair rail something to dead end into. If you've watched my videos about trim over the years, it's kind of a rule with me. I try to design all of my trim projects so the trim can dead end into something, because nothing looks less professional in my view than when trim is back cut at a 45-degree angle. It just looks like it wasn't thought out. The flat panels on the wall are created with 1/2-inch MDF, and then I used 3/8 quarter round inside the 1/2-inch MDF for the trim. Now I want to talk about some of the things in the room that I've made. This is an encaustic painting. Encaustic is primarily beeswax. It's a process that was made famous by the artist Jasper Johns in the 50s or 60s. And I would say that this painting, I think everything's inspired by something, and this painting is inspired by the artist Joseph L. Beers and probably also Kenneth Nolan. So if you want to check those artists out, you can see the connection there. This is a serving tray. I made this not too long ago, and I have a video on my channel on how to make it. I also have free plans on my site, and I like the idea of having some kind of a theme where you could work with different materials and have the image hold everything together. So I've worked with the dogwood flowers on big aluminum paintings, big stainless steel paintings, and also things like the serving tray. This is a walnut server. Some people call it a credenza. I made this just a few weeks ago, and there are free plans for this project on my website, along with, I think, 3 videos in the series because it's a somewhat complicated project. I used the Sauce Invisible Hinge, and I really like the hinge. I think it works great on this piece of furniture, and it's a nice, clean, simple design. Originally, I made this for the living room, but then my wife decided she wanted to put it in the sunroom. This is a rondelle, which is the symbol for the British Royal Air Force. My dad was a pilot, and as a kid, we would go to air shows, and I just loved all those big old warbirds with the rondelles and the stars and bars on the side. And maybe 20 years ago, I thought, why can't that be a painting? And so I started to make these paintings. Sometimes I'll paint them on aluminum. If I want them to rust, I'll paint them on steel, and sometimes I'll paint them on stainless steel. This is an electric wall-mounted fireplace by Touchstone Home Products, and I just installed this the other day, and everybody in the house loves it. I think it looks really cool. We chose the ivory color because we felt it went with the artwork and the furniture in the room, and it also provides additional heat, which is important for this room because there's so many windows in this room. It tends to be a little bit on the cold side. So the electric fireplace helps to take off the chill. This painting, there's kind of a funny story behind this painting. I made this painting for my boys' room when they were little, and I wanted them to play tic-tac-toe as a way to sort of record that. And so Jack and Walter, my 2 oldest boys, were playing tic-tac-toe. And then my little guy, Michael, came in, and I think he may have only been 2 or 3 at the time, so he didn't really get it. And he was feeling a little bit left out, so I asked him if he wanted to do something after they had played, and he said, I'll take a 6. And so I thought that was funny, so we just put the 6 there. And this painting stayed in their room for maybe a decade or more, and then my wife decided she really liked it because it reminds her when the boys were little. This is a bench. I didn't do the metal work, I just made the seat, and this was a piece of very figurative white oak. It wasn't wide enough for the full bench, so I had to add about 2 inches on each side of the board. This is a TV lift cabinet that I built, and I think it's a great example of why somebody might need a TV lift cabinet. You can see there's really nowhere to put a TV in this room, so I put the TV in the cabinet. And the nice thing is you can come in here and watch a movie, or you can put the TV away, visit, have a drink, have more of an adult room. And I never get tired of seeing the TV go up and down. It's one of those things that just looks really cool. This is an aluminum cocktail table. I just made that maybe a month or so ago. I have plans on my site, free plans on my site. There's a video if you want to build this that should help you be able to make it. This chair is a used chair that I had reupholstered. I think the base was black. I sanded it down and then I veneered the base with mahogany. After wrapping the base with the mahogany veneer, I painted it with West epoxy, and that was there to just help reinforce the veneer to stay in that shape. With 1 coat of epoxy, I then sprayed it with lacquer. Well, I thought I'd end the video with a future project. These are chairs that I'm going to have reupholstered. I will refinish the legs, and hopefully I'll have this project done sometime in the next month or 2. I'm not sure if they're going to end up in the room here. That's ultimately up to my wife. She basically has the final say of what furniture goes where, what color the walls are painted, but she's got a pretty good eye, and I think between the 2 of us, this room really came out nice. I'm really happy with it. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.